Spare Element, Episode 22, recorded 10 April 2013.
Woo! Episode 22.
Yes, indeed. Welcome, everyone.
This is Vito.
This is Tim.
This is Wolfie.
And,
Hi, Wolfie, yes.
and Clay is off tonight. He's out vacationing with Bill and Scarlett. And so we have in tonight, again, from last recording, Mr. Ron Braun.
Hi, Ron Braun.
As a guest host.
Yes, the guest element for the evening.
And our real guest.
Our real guest. That's me.
Guest.
That's you.
Me. Hi. I'm Donovan. You know me.
The Donovan.
The Donovan. Yeah, I'm Donovan. I'm here.
He
Hi.
is
Welcome.
very famous.
Famous. Internet famous.
Internet
but
famous.
For the wrong reasons. Yeah.
Great man in our community.
Infamous,
and
maybe.
I thought that he would make a great guest. He's got lots of things going on in his life. And one of the big ones is, I know, don't be shocked, he's a DJ.
I know.
All the Cubs want to be DJs.
All the Cubs want to be DJs. Thankfully, I'm not a Cub. So.
But he's well accomplished and quite busy.
Yeah. Yeah. I DJ a party here in San Francisco. It's called REDDROX.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a monthly alternative indie rock party. And I've been doing that for, let's see, just had our 1 year anniversary.
Oh, wow. It's been that long.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been doing it for about a year and a half. It's actually been 2 years since I started doing DJing, I guess. I don't know if I could call it professionally, but I've been doing it out and about.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to get back into this, from doing a gig at Coachella, which happens to be this weekend. So this is my, I guess, 2 year anniversary of semi-professionally DJing again.
Oh, and it's Yellow Shirt Day at Coachella,
It's
right? And you have a yellow mic.
And I have a yellow mic.
Wow.
It is not in my right pocket.
You know what
it
that
is in
means.
my left pocket. For
Good
you.
to know.
Yes. Just keep that in mind, kids.
That's funny.
But I have been DJing at Coachella. Was kind of my first gig. It was a bar night right before the actual event, which is going on this weekend, and I'm missing it for the first time in 3 years.
I don't know.
That's tough.
Yeah, it actually is a little bit of a bummer, but it's for a good reason. My partner's birthday is this weekend, so last year being there without him made it a little bit difficult to do.
Mm-hmm.
But started doing like an indie alternative night with two other guys, and the feedback was really good. And one of the guys that was at Coachella, Pyro, many people here in San Francisco
Pyro.
might know him. Hi, Pyro. Went and told Harry Litt, who runs the Lazy Bear festivities every year. This is, I think, year 16 is coming
Something
up.
like that.
16 or 17.
Mm-hmm.
And Harry asked me if I wanted to DJ their bonfire 2 years ago. So I said yes, and had a very successful turnout. And then it came back to the Lone Star that I'd had a good turnout at the bonfire. And they asked me to put together, just to come and play, once a month, come in and play indie alternative rock music. And the response to that was really good. And I was pulling a big crowd for Saturday afternoon. And then the Lone Star said, why don't we turn this into like a proper night? So I said, as long as I can kind of keep it exactly what it is, which is really focused on just the music and playing stuff that I'm really into. And they asked me for a name, and I just thought REDDROX, which made me think of the amphitheater in Colorado, which is like all consisting of big, huge red rocks. And it's a great place with, to go and see a show.
And it reminds me of red ginger balls.
Red ginger balls. I get that a lot too.
Tell me about your logo.
The logo. Yeah. The logo is a big red beard. For anyone that's ever met me, they know that I have a big red beard and
Ginger beard.
Where did the inspiration from that big red beard come from?
From my face.
And my T-shirt.
Inspiration.
And from your T-shirt. That's true.
That's
That is
right.
True. That is
That's true. I had a T-shirt, and Fred and you loved it, and you went and ordered one, and then it's
Fred
very
got me
similar.
one for my birthday, and then I told my good friend Dickie, to create a. Ron is distracting me by twirling his mustache.
He looks
and
like
knows
Hercule Poirot.
that's always going to distract me.
Sorry.
No, it's good. It's very good. It's a good kind of distraction. But
You were talking about red balls.
I was talking about REDDROX, which is my party that I throw once a month. It's usually the third or fourth Saturday of the month at the Lone Star. And I have a great time doing it, and it's pretty low key, all things considered. It's just about great music that's out there that you don't normally hear in a lot of the gay bars here in the Castro, or most places you hear a lot of typical dance music, which I like too. I like pop music and top 40, but my real passion and love since I've been a kid was always new wave and alternative rock, and I grew up listening to Depeche Mode and The Clash and
Wow, me too.
yeah. So that's the kind of stuff that really inspires me. And I do play dance music as part of my set list usually, but it's often dance remixes of things like Depeche Mode or the XX, or even to go more indie, things like Grizzly Bear. So it's something I get a huge kick out of doing. It is definitely a hobby, and I do feel a bit of the stigma of being a quote-unquote bear that DJs.
Why? I think that's an important topic because, I mean, it's just doing what you love.
That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
But when Portlandia does a sketch, and I love Portlandia, and that sketch is totally brilliant. But when you're kind of new and coming out and doing this, there becomes a little bit of a self-confidence issue where you're like, well, I'm just here playing music, it's my DJ night. And,
Right.
Come to my DJ night. So it is cheesy when you invite people to come, but I think that
Not really. What else do they have to do? Sit there and watch Dancing with the Stars? I mean, I think it's a much better alternative than, watching your
Especially
life
on a Saturday
on
afternoon.
TV.
It was great. I'll go to the
Yeah, I think it's
Lone
great.
Star and hang out with Donovan when he plays his music.
yeah.
It was very relaxing. It was a lot of fun.
And then it turned into Saturday night.
Yeah, it was great.
So it's
Yeah, and
a little bit bigger, and Lone Star got behind it thoroughly.
It's a lot of
and
fun.
They haven't asked me to change what I play or do anything kind of different when I play in other places. Like when I play at the 440, it's a little bit more dancey. I think I stay a little bit more dancey to sort of please the crowd in the Castro.
Oh, okay.
But I think the Lone Star has a history of really supporting rock music. I mean, not just the Lone Star, but the Lone Star, the Eagle, the South of Market bars, I think in general really support rock and roll. And that pleases me. I like.
Plus, this is a stereotype, but bears are really terrible dancers. So, and I don't think they mind that they can't dance. They're like, okay, fine. I don't really know what to do with my body anyway, and I'll just move around a lot.
If you could see me right now, my jaw just dropped.
I'm reminded.
Such a terrible stereotype. Right.
I'm
I
reminded.
don't know. I know some big bears that can dance their
It's
ass.
true. No, listen, when I find one of those, I latch on to them
Do you-
because that means they're good at bed.
Do you know
But
Charlie?
Otherwise,
Do you know Charlie,
I
the
love
bartender
Charlie, of
from
course.
the Lone Star?
of course,
Take him out dancing one
I
night.
would love to.
That guy can move.
And he could kiss too.
And
Did
he
I
can-
mind?
well,
Oh, not-
I'm
Good
reminded.
dancers make for good kissers, but we'll get to that.
I'm reminded of a bear pride I attended like years ago.
in Chicago.
It was in Chicago. Yes, that's the one in Chicago.
I've been there 100 times.
They had a big dance floor set up on the second floor in one of the big conference rooms, and everyone's dancing to the beat, and the floor is just going woo, woo, woo. And I'm thinking, okay, lots of heavyset guys dancing in rhythm, second floor, no support. Is this really, really, really a good idea?
It's one of those good videos on a show, on a television show.
Yeah, that's one of those things that shows up on YouTube that everybody just
Right.
And then suddenly the floor caved in.
Mhm.
When the floor collapses, people are like, "Well, I could have predicted that."
So the other
I
thing that's
hear you've
really
got stuff going.
Yeah, well, you you and I actually haven't been able to be out on the road together much, but Tim and I are both taking part in the AIDS Life Cycle, which is a 545-mile bike ride, 7 days from San Francisco to Los Angeles.
Right.
And the beneficiaries are the Los Angeles Gay and Lesbian Center and the San Francisco AIDS Foundation.
Yeah.
And this is my first ride that I will be taking part in 12 years. So this is my first actual AIDS life cycle ride, but I've done an AIDS ride before, previously in 2001.
As a
rider. Yeah. Back in 2001 up until I think it was about 2002 is when it ended, but it was many years prior to that.
Ride?
Was the California AIDS ride, and it was run by Pilata Teamworks.
Right.
And the first year that I was able to participate in an AIDS ride was the first year that they were doing what was called the AIDS vaccine rides. There were 3 rides. There was one in Montana, one in Alaska, and the third one was Canada, Vermont, New Hampshire, and then up the coast of Maine. So it was 5 days and 425 miles.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I decided that I was going to do the Canada ride because of the lower mileage. Because I'd never done any kind of bike ride like that before. And I was really concerned that I wasn't going to be able to mentally, physically handle that.
Right.
So
how much training did you have to do back then for that ride?
For that ride, it was weird because our ride was actually going to be taking place in September. And the California ride typically is in June before it gets a little too hot in California to do this kind of ride.
Right.
So while their training rides were basically ending, ours were starting. And my participation in the Canada ride was very different. And then I did a lot of smaller rides, very focused on myself. I wasn't going with a big group of people because the other thing, the unique thing about the California ride is that you have all these riders and participants that are either here in Northern California or in Southern California. And so there's a lot of options for training rides every weekend. There's 3 different kinds of training rides that you can do that they start out at roughly 20 miles and then they ramp up to 80, 90, 100-mile days.
Right.
So you have a lot of options doing the California ride for training. But with the Canada ride, there wasn't that many options because there weren't that many participants here in California. So a lot of the riding that I had to do was going out to the East Bay to the Iron Horse Trail, which is a 20-mile ride between the Dublin Pleasanton BART station and the Pleasant Hill BART station. So I would do 20 miles one way and 20 miles back, and then again 20 miles. So I would do 20 to 60-mile rides in preparation.
To train here in the city.
It is difficult to train here in the city. And I mean, the difference between 2001 and 2013 is that, obviously with the power of the internet and social media, we're just so much more connected now than we were then. I mean, we had email and advent of that, but now you're much more connected with a group.
Right.
And the rides and the training rides they're very easy to find, and there's lots of people that you can go to do these rides with, even if you aren't doing an official ALC sponsored training ride.
Well, now you're involved in the group, the New Bear Republic, right?
Correct.
How did you get involved in that?
So the New Bear Republic kind of stemmed out of the Team Bear, which was another group that was involved about 4 or 5 years ago. And they were a group of bears that were doing the California ride. And I knew them and I donated money to them, but I wasn't ready to get myself back on a bike. Last year, I was in the middle of changing jobs and was going to do the ride, and then decided it wasn't a good year to get involved. But that was the first year that they had changed from being Team Bear to the New Bear Republic. They kind of wanted a fresh face to it all. I guess that Team Bear kind of split up. I don't really know all the details behind it, but I know it used to be a much larger group, and then it seemed to kind of split and fragment into Northern California Bears and Southern California Bears.
But it's all about fundraising, right?
It's all about
getting together, because you guys have events. I've gone to a few, and I did an auction last year. It was a lot of fun. What I really find fascinating is, Vito, is the they're called jerseys?
The jerseys.
The team jerseys.
The team jerseys are made for us specifically. We have a lot of participation and a lot of back and forth when you get queens talking about fashion.
No.
And even if it's bears,
Really?
everyone's got opinions on the color scheme and where the flag should go and where the AIDS ribbon should go, and should it be a big
Latex.
bear or a smaller bear?
But Ray, didn't Ray design it this year?
Ray Camp designed
Yeah.
it, but there was a little bit of work even getting to that. We had
Yeah.
3 designers that kind of bid
Oh, wow.
on the idea of doing it.
Mhm.
I don't know the third one, but it was Ray Camp and Killer Bob Pierce,
Right.
who bid on it, and it was kind of coming down between the two of them, and we just ended up going with Ray, I think, with just based on some of the ideas that he had put out.
Mm-hmm. They're so nice. Are they pricey?
They're gorgeous. They are about $65 for the jersey itself, and then there's a full kit, which is the bib overalls.
Oh.
A lot of people prefer the overalls instead of the shorts.
Especially for bears.
Especially
For
for
wrestling.
bears, because they really hold everything up,
Oh.
and they don't,
Total
kind of,
support.
they just,
Yeah.
I mean,
If you
when
have
you're
any
riding
sort
a
of a-
bike,
Yeah.
they slip. Shorts just slip naturally.
okay.
On these skinny guys, they're fine. They're a bit snug and they kind of stay put all day long. But those of us are kind of bigger and we're losing weight and gaining weight because
You're
that's what you do.
exercising,
You're
yeah.
exercising, but you're also eating at the same time.
Right.
So your weight kind of fluctuates a little bit while you're training for the ride. I know mine has. I've probably gained
Yeah.
and lost somewhere between 10 and 15 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And so
You biked your way right into Otter.
Exactly. I was-
Whoa, wait,
I'm
I
not
had to eat
quite
a
an otter
hamburger.
yet. I think I'd have to drop about 20, maybe 30 more pounds before I could get back to otter. But the bib overalls are just overall more comfortable,
Mhm.
I think, to wear on the ride. They're snug and they just kind of hold in place and they're comfortable.
What do you have,
I mean,
Tim?
I do the same thing. I prefer the bibs.
The bib
too.
thing. Okay.
I mean, a year and a half ago, if you would have said, "Hey, you're going to be buying spandex next year," full spandex outfits, I'd be like, "You're out of your
Yay.
goddamn mind." But yeah, when you're out riding, doing that sort of mileage stuff like that, it's really comfortable, and that's what it all boils down to. If you're not comfortable, you're not going to be able to sit your ass on that bike seat for 545 miles.
Now I hear that your penis falls asleep when you're biking for
Or
a
your
long
whole
time.
groin gets numb.
Your whole groin gets- that's
if
scary.
that does happen, you probably either need a different seat or to adjust it.
Yeah, I
Or
think you
to-
should have big padded bear seats with
Well,
extra wide
Those are actually uncomfortable for long periods of time.
because your
That's-
legs.
Right, because it's more work. So you actually want a proper racing seat, but you do have to deal with numb penis. Now,
But even
there are
then,
ways
I mean,
to
if
counteract
it's-
that, and there's a guy on our
How-
team who famously likes to tell us all about how when he's climbing hills, he gets hard-ons. I don't know how he does it, but I applaud him.
Before, I just put on a new seat on my bike, so it's actually getting used to that, because I used to have a really soft gel seat, and after a while it's just like, okay, I need something different. But yeah, until I got it adjusted properly, if I would go on a long ride, as soon as I'd get off the bike, I would get a hard-on. Because
Really?
it's just all the blood rushing.
It's finally, finally my turn.
So it's all the blood rushing to it, but, and that can actually do some damage to it, just having,
Oh,
having
okay.
it cut off. There's, for the one
Oh,
who did
because
the
it's
ride
been cut off. Okay.
a couple years ago who, I think even 6 months after the ride, still had numbness around his
Yeah,
taint.
that scares.
So, but, and it was just because he didn't have his seat adjusted
His seat
properly.
needed
Well,
to
I
be
didn't know we were
adjusted.
going to talk about that, but I also wanted to talk about these amazing pictures that Ray's been doing of
Yeah.
everybody on the team. They're really gorgeous.
Yeah. So, really quickly, getting back to the New Bear Republic, we are a team. We are a blend of guys from San Francisco and Los Angeles, obviously, because that's where the main charities are. But we have guys from Dallas and Seattle and Virginia, and we have, not only men and self-identified bears, but we have women on the team, and we have roadies in addition to riders. So our total team right now, I think how much we've raised is $205,000.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing
today.
how much you guys have
Congrats.
done. And
Yeah.
you yourself, I mean, congratulations. Just the other day,
Thank
you made
you.
it over $10,000. So
Yeah.
that's a huge milestone.
Insert clap. Insert clapping.
Yay. Clap, 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 clap.
Congratulations.
It was not something that I expected to do. I had a very minimal goal when I started. My reason for joining and doing this was to celebrate my 40th birthday. I just turned 40 a couple weeks back, and I had decided last year that I really wanted to do something very big for my 40th birthday and get myself back on the bike, which is a fantastic experience. If you ever get a chance to do this ride, if you ever think that you're not in the shape to do it, one, you can totally do this. There's a lot of support, one. And two, there are some very big guys on our team that are kicking ass that can really get up those hills faster than I can.
Yeah,
And
actually,
it's just
that's
all conditioning and training.
something that I wanted to add on that same note too. I mean, my partner James, last year was the first year that he rode. He was a roadie the year before that. But I mean, he's a short guy. He's 5'6". He's 300 pounds. He did a lot of training to get where he can, but there's been, many people who have decided to take on doing the ride because like you did the ride. Hell, if you can do the ride, I can do the ride.
Yeah.
So it's like, and he has no problem with that. He's whatever gets people out there and raising money for these very worthy causes.
James, you're an inspiration to all of the big boys.
Absolutely.
Thank you, James.
Thank
Absolutely.
you, James. Hey, you know what? I don't remember if we've talked about this before on the podcast, but the Roadies fascinated me. I didn't even really know they existed, and that you could participate in the ride without being a rider.
Absolutely. Our team is made up of, probably about 70%, 80% riders and then 20 to 25% of roadies. Roadies are the hardest working people of all because one, many of them do fundraise, even though there is no minimum or requirement for them to fundraise. One of our roadies is the number 3 fundraising roadie in the entire ride. He's raised over $6,000 right now, and by the time we do the ride, he'll probably be closer to 8 or 9.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
The roadies work harder than anyone else on the ride. That's me. Sorry. That's my cell phone going off.
We forgot to tell everybody to
Sorry
go on
about
airplane
that.
mode.
Noise is off.
My apologies.
Are there fluffers in it or taint rubbers in there?
Well, there is.
Well, that's what
you
tent
can
mates
get them
are for.
Yeah.
Everyone is paired up with a good tent mate.
I want to be that.
We'll get
Tent
there,
mate.
but I'll tell you what.
There are some roadie masseuses and masseurs, though.
It is after a long day of riding, and the first day you start at 80 miles, the second day you do 100, and you go anywhere between 60 to 100 odd miles a day while you're actually on the ride.
Right.
The last thing that you really want to do at night is fool around. I mean, maybe cuddles.
Right.
Cuddles, but and I've heard stories about things that happen because hey, we're gay men and women that are doing the ride, and straight people too. But
And if you're
really-
popping a boner when you get off the ride because you don't have your seat
because
right.
exactly.
I like them. I like them when they're lifeless.
Yeah. just lay there.
No, just lay there, baby.
Who needs
It's
to participate?
okay.
But the
Yes.
roadies
Okay.
are working 10 to 14-hour days.
Mm-hmm.
They are up and they are moving
Well,
earlier than we are, and they are busting their ass all day long with no breaks.
right.
We stop.
Well, yeah, last year on day 2, when they actually ended up getting rained out for half the day, they had to bus like 2,000 people from along the route into camp that night.
Right.
So they're busing all these people in, but meanwhile, all their bikes are still out there.
Right.
So they end up getting these trucks and loading them up with the bikes, and they were bringing those bikes in.
And who was
up
doing
until,
that?
These are the roadies.
The roadies,
The
right?
roadies that are
Yeah.
doing that up until like 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
So, I mean, the work that they're doing is invaluable.
Absolutely. You cannot put on an event like this without hundreds of volunteers who are doing it for the love of the cause.
Well, like I said, I didn't even know about that part. So I think that's a great opportunity for people that may not be up for riding,
Correct.
to participate. And I'm going to put some links up on the site about that.
Yeah, and I mean, they're always looking at medical professionals as well, nurses. I had a friend who was just asking me the other day, he's like, well, it's probably too late for me this year, but maybe next year. He's a nurse. I was like, God, get out there and do it. They really can use anyone that's willing and able to put in some work. They'll take you. They need you.
Awesome.
I mean, even if it's on day 0, at the Cow Palace here in San Francisco, just the first day before people are actually out there. I mean, you don't need to necessarily have to take a whole week off of work to be a roadie.
Correct.
You can help out with, either at the finish line down in LA, you can help out in San Francisco, you can help out with different events during the year that happen at either of the centers, whether the LA Gay and Lesbian Center or the San Francisco AIDS Foundation.
And one of the, just speaking of that, one of the ways that a lot of San Francisco Bears here get involved is on day 2. They ride down to what is the 4th pit stop for the day, because day 2 you're riding 100 miles. So your pit stops are generally every 20 miles or so. So they go famously for, I think this is the 5th year that they've done this now, and they create what's called the Otter Pop Stop.
Right.
Where you ride in as a rider, you've done 80 miles, you're totally exhausted, and you pull into this pit stop, and here are 50 bears in tutus passing out Otter Pops and chocolate chip cookies. And they're dancing and waving flags.
I'm in.
Yeah. I did it last year, and I mean, they always tell you that when you're doing the AIDS ride that you will have one good cry. To some people, I think that sounds a little scary, like maybe it's just going to be too emotional for them or what have you. Realistically, it's such an incredible cry. Even doing the Otter Pop Stop, when you know that for our year, this was last year, the ride was mostly rained out. So only about 30% of the riders, the entire ride made it to our pit stop. Everyone else was what they call sagged or swept off the road. So the people that made it to our stop had been battling rain all day long and exhaustion and wind.
You
and
left
cold,
me crying in the rain.
And begin to cry when they see, here are all these big, hairy, happy, cheering men screaming your name and so excited to see you.
Cries of happiness.
It really is. It's cries of happiness.
There's no place like home.
It's an amazing feeling.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So,
That's really cool.
to get back to, sorry, I kind of waylaid really quick. Ray Cervantes and Brendan McWeeny, they both do their own photography business. Ray's photography and Brendan does a Bear Nose Photos. And what they decided to do, because we have so many mutual friends that are doing the ride, instead of donating individual money donations to all these different riders, they decided they were going to do a portrait series. Mm-hmm. And it started with Alan Carpenter, who is the 6th largest fundraiser on our ride. He's on our team. He just raised $25,000.
Wow.
So it's pretty impressive. But they started with Alan, and they do these black and white shots, and it's black and white, and then it picks up on a bit of color, a bit of red color. And they've created these sort of inspirational messages, and that's how they're doing fundraising for all of us. They've created these fantastic portraits that we can use for social media. And I think it's going to be part of a larger art project. It's called The Reason I Ride.
Yeah.
Nice.
And they look striking. They're very great, and we'll put some links up on the Facebook page for
They're
that.
Fantastic guys, and that's a great idea.
This is something that's very close to my heart. Having been involved with it for training for it for the past 6 months. My partner being involved last year, but we need to wrap it up for this section, for the first part of it.
That's the end of part 1.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
That's right.
we're going to take a quick break. If you're listening on bearradio.net, you can catch us next week for part 2. You can find us online at bearelement.com or on Facebook at The Bear Element. And welcome back.
Oh, there's
This
that
is part 2.
and thing you do.
Yes.
This is Vito.
This is Wolfie.
And this is Tim.
And
And tonight,
I'm Ron Braun.
How do you follow that? I'm Donovan. Ron Braun. Best
and
name
thank
ever.
you. How do you follow what, me or Ron?
How do you follow someone like Tim? But if
You're
you're
just-
gonna follow someone like Tim, you have to have a name like Ron Braun. I'm Ron Braun.
I'm Ron Bud.
It is
a very- it's a
very butch name.
Thank you.
My dad's name was Ron.
We gotta
Probably why I
get a
look at you as
picture
kind
of you,
a
Ron, and
daddy.
that mustache going on here.
I thought it was a line of underwear.
I love it. Wait,
Ron
you-
Braun underwear.
It will be one day.
Ooh.
I'm hoping.
All the underwear he's stolen from
Well, now
unsuspecting.
you're making me want to curl my mustache.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's not really ready to be curled right now.
Yeah, it looks good.
Grow that long.
Okay, so those of you that are just joining us, I think you'll have to chime into last week's episode or part to figure out who Ron and Donovan are, who are over playing with each other's mustaches.
Really glad we did not bring wax.
Yeah.
It's like the
Yeah.
girls
All
are
right,
playing
you
with
need
the
to take a
mustache.
picture of that.
They're-
Take
No.
Yeah.
They're very cute right
Sure.
now.
Here, let me get it.
Okay, so moving on.
Moving on.
So the first part we touched a little bit on what Donovan's been up to, but there's something else that he's been up to. He's been whoring himself out
It's true. It's true.
to meet.
To Meet, yeah. So Meet is a UK-based zine magazine for dudes who like
Other dudes.
other dudes,
Hey,
particularly hairy, scruffy, furry dudes.
Hey, dude.
I'm down.
And
Dudes,
I was at a
liking
club
dudes.
about 2.5 months ago wearing a pair of fireman's pants and this lean, kind of cool, hip, I don't want to call him hipster looking, but he was kind of hip. He had like the waxed mustache and he looked like an artiste.
Mm-hmm.
He was there with Matt Alber, and Matt introduced him to me. His name's Adrian Lurie, and he's been running this magazine called Meet. He's a photographer and a DJ and artiste, and he contacted me a couple days later and said, I really like your look. I really love you in those fireman's pants, and I'm doing a magazine, an edition of San Francisco, of Men of San Francisco, and I'd like you to be a part of it. And so, of course, the first thing I said is, will there be nudity? Because I have a nudity clause.
Green M&Ms and nudity.
Exactly. Green M&Ms and nudity. And he said, well, it's going to be at your place. And
Can
Nice of him to
Donovan,
tell you.
Can you show me on the doll where he made you touch him?
yes, I can, but this is radio, so it really won't translate as well to the listener.
Uh-huh.
But let's just say everywhere. Let's just say everywhere.
So
No, actually, Adrian was extremely professional. I agreed to do it. I said, but I don't feel 100% comfortable doing full frontal nudity. I'm pretty happy with what I got.
How about from behind?
From behind is actually different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been a part of the early Barracuda ads. They have one of their first ads was their Christmas ad, and it was me
I remember that.
laying down on a couch, and it's me and my butt and in a
candy
red
cane.
jock.
Hi.
In a red jock, yeah.
Me and
It
my
was
butt.
hot.
It was
That's
for
right,
one
yeah,
of
you
their
should
first
do more
underwear
of that.
parties, and it was really cute. I'm actually really proud of the shot. It was
It's
a lot
well
of fun
done.
doing.
It's tasteful.
It's tasteful. It's tasteful
tasty.
nudity.
No,
Oh,
tasteful,
sorry,
Rod.
that's different.
Tasteful.
Yeah,
Rod.
it was that too.
Uh,
That too. But no, full frontal nudity, I'm just not 100% comfortable with. And he said it's not going to be that, so don't worry about that.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking at the website. It's meetzine.com, and I wouldn't necessarily say it's bear centric.
No, I wouldn't either. And that was actually part of why I was a little hesitant at first, because I don't feel like I've got the body that a lot of the guys on this site have. It probably leans a bit more towards the otters, the lean, not overly muscular, which I kind of liked, but a little bit more lean.
Probably
And-
the type that would be offended if you called them an otter.
Possibly. Although
Like
that's
more of
kind
a
of
swimmer's-
changing. More like a swimmer's build.
Swimmer's
More
build,
of a
yeah.
swimmer's build.
Mhm.
And these guys are pretty fit. And at one point, I might have been considered an otter back when Vito and I met many, many, many years ago.
Well,
I definitely was about 70 pounds lighter.
I
back
think
then.
what's funny if you speak with my ex in Chicago, and the way I look now, basically, compared to what I looked like when I met him 20 years ago, is radically different. You know, I think we all kind of, hopefully, have an evolution. Some people always look.
So you're saying, Ron, that these
I used to
chubby
look,
guys or these otter guys could be different. When
yeah,
they're
like
older.
I used to look like Eurotrash, like they did.
Oh,
No.
Oh, that's terrible.
No.
They're so cute.
I'm
These guys
kidding, my God.
for the listeners.
No, but
please
I
look
was
at
very
Meat Tea.
thin.
These guys are good looking.
I know. I was
handsome
just
guy.
saying. I would call myself Eurotrash just jokingly, you know. But I was very thin and I was very, you know, I don't know, tall and skinny.
Gorgeous.
you mean
And-
before you let yourself go?
Exactly. Thank you. And on that note, no, but I think, you know, people evolve as well. Like, I think there's this kind of, people have a need to kind of put people in different groupings, and we're all in a state of flux and change and growth and whatever. So I think we should be very careful in trying to label ourselves. Really.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I don't think that the guys Meat really say this is an otter magazine,
Right.
this is a bear magazine. It's just kind of like finding the beauty in maybe some average guys.
The importance
Yeah.
of that is just
Yeah.
knowing what product you're going for. For, you know, is this going to turn me on, or is it going to be a nice magazine or whatever, you know, because everybody has their specific type. So descriptives are good in that way, I suppose.
That's true.
Yeah, and that's why I was attracted to this in the first place. I didn't even know that Donovan had done anything with it. I just thought it was a neat thing I found on the web.
It
Yeah.
turned you on.
Well, today they actually
Yeah.
released the teaser with Matt Albert speaking directly about the fact that he's going to be the centerfold in the magazine that I'm doing, which I think is issue 8. It's either 7 or 8, but they're calling it Meet SF because he was here in town.
Mm-hmm.
And so he did a shoot of a bunch of random guys, including a couple.
Is Meet
Out in the
SF
East Bay.
its own? Is that like its own offshoot? 'Cause I'm looking at the website right now, and they're apparently already through Meet 9.
Maybe I'm
Like you're wrong, damn it.
No, I probably am. I probably am because I had never really heard about Meat because it is a UK based magazine until, 2 months ago. It wasn't on my radar at all. But Adrian's like such a professional and a real gentleman, lovely guy and very talented and made me feel completely at ease doing the whole thing. But this particular edition, which is going to be released, it was just released today in the UK. I guess you can order it as of today, but there's going to be a release party over in the UK in June, and then there's going to be one here in San Francisco because it is the Meet SF edition. That's going to be July 27th.
Is it a physical magazine or just an online magazine?
It is a physical magazine, and I believe that there is an online edition as well
nice.
as there is with most print.
Yeah, I guess you
these
have to
days.
do that these days.
Right.
Or some places don't even do physical anymore,
Right.
any printings, yeah.
Well, yeah, there's like Bear World magazine, which is just digital. Actually, I haven't even seen one of those.
Yeah, I did see that.
But it was a great experience. I ended up stripping down to much more than I originally thought I was going to, just because I was so comfortable with him. So I am in a jock.
Did he play Barry White?
No, he didn't play anything. It was
Oh,
just the sound of his
yeah.
voice. You know what? UK guys, when they speak
Beautiful.
with that English
Oh,
accent,
boy.
man.
All
it's
right.
like,
Beautiful.
all right, then you want me to take off the clothes?
Right.
I can see
Oh,
that.
you cheeky monkey.
So, would you really
Want
like
me to take
White
off my
Austin
clothes?
Powers. Bit close to that.
Oh, yeah.
Would it really? I mean, what would it have taken for him to get his tongue in your mouth? I mean, Barry White. Something tells me Barry White's not going to cut it.
Nice
Get his
segue.
tongue in my mouth.
Yeah, for him.
Maybe
yeah.
some
Actually,
Susie and the Banshees.
it was pretty much he had to open his mouth. I'm a sucker for accents.
Oh, my God, so am I.
And
Ditto.
He's got a very sexy
Well-
English accent. Like I could try and copy it, but I do it a complete.
So-
I had an English girlfriend just because I liked the accent so much before I came out. Yeah,
Wow, that's
Poor girl.
that's really gay, Vito.
So,
Okay,
but
the Scottish accent.
beyond the accent, though, I mean, what's going to make a good kisser?
Mm.
That's a good question.
The ability to use your tongue properly.
I would say not using your tongue a lot is, to me, a definition of a good kisser. Knowing to when to use
Interesting.
the tongue.
Knowing when to use the tongue.
And not, because, I had that happen once where some guy went to kiss me, he just opened up his mouth and then started sticking his tongue out. And I'm like, this is terrible.
It's like the alien face hugger.
Yes,
Like,
exactly. Exactly.
I want to make sure I implant my embryo in you, and I'm going to do it with my tongue.
And I thought he was really cute, and that was just such a turnoff. But I think you definitely being able to kiss properly without the tongue initially is the most important.
I don't think it's with or without the tongue. It's as much as it is a communication between two people. Like, are you guys, on the same page? Are you developing a rhythm between one another? And that's more sexy than tongue, no tongue, whatever. It's like, are you able to kind of make that connection? And if you can, or if somebody's just like, some people are just like on auto tongue and their tongue's going round and round. And you're like, you're not fucking paying. Sorry.
I think we need Barry White with you while you're talking, Ron, because it's so sexy.
You're not paying attention,
You're not paying attention to my feelings.
Yeah, no.
By the way,
like,
you can curse.
I think just because that translates into when you're in bed too. Are you gonna have some sort of rhythm that you can kind of get going?
But we're talking about kissing, Ron.
Right, but that's
where it
that
starts.
translates
where it
into
starts. If they can't get past first base, then maybe it's not worth it.
I mean, I don't know if I could put my finger on exactly what's going to make a good kisser. What's going to make it good? I can put my finger on what's going to make it bad.
Yeah, that's
because
easier,
there's certain stuff that I've really enjoyed with some people. Like, I've had a guy try to stick his tongue, as far down my throat as it could possibly go, and vice versa. And it was amazing because of everything that led up to it and everything that was going on at the time. However, I've had somebody try to do that to me. I'm just like, what the ew? Get away.
Exactly.
Or like the guy that just like darts his tongue in and out of his mouth.
I like it when they lick
like that.
my teeth.
That can be hot.
Are you kidding?
That can actually be hot.
No way. That would
who needs to
freak
go to
me
the
out.
dentist when they can just lick their teeth?
I put a little Colgate Plus on there. Girl, I'm going to take a little nap.
Peppermint.
You clean Papa's teeth now.
You're terrible.
Has anyone
Should we pull out the Dremel for you too?
No, there's got to be passionate. You're right. It is all about the feelings through the kissing.
Yeah.
But I think it can be done wrong.
Oh God, yeah.
Absolutely.
But I'm with Tim. It's more
Here's a
defining
good
what's
question.
wrong than what's right.
Can it be learned?
Can it be learned?
Can you take lessons? Is it like
coaching?
A natural thing?
Some people just don't really have the ability to, I guess for lack of a better term, empathize. Like sort of have that idea of like, okay, this probably feels like this to this person. Rather than just like, okay, I think this should feel good. Let's do it.
Right.
I mean, if you
that
really
makes any
like the
sense.
person,
Right.
then you could coach him and say, look, I prefer if you kissed me this way.
But really, if you're having to coach someone into the kissing, you'd better
have to be
you'd
really
better
hot.
be dating, and
Yeah,
they better have paid
have
for
to be
dinner.
really worth it.
This better be going somewhere else because, frankly, the people that I meet in the bar that I'm making out with, I can tell you within 15 seconds if that kiss is going to continue for the next 45.
I know that's the inside. I'm saying that, but then I'm saying, but to be a nice guy, I suppose you could coach them. But you're absolutely right. I do exactly the same thing. In the first 10 seconds, you know if they're a good kisser or not. Bam.
I'm a nice guy by giving money to charity. I can't.
That's a very polite way of putting it.
Quite frankly, I don't have time to train someone. They're either good or they're bad. But what I find interesting actually is because I am partnered and I've been in a 10-year relationship and we do enjoy kissing other people. And that's okay with us. But what I find interesting is when we both have the attraction to the same person and my partner will come up and say, have you made out with John over there? And I'll say, no. He goes, well, you really should. So I'll
he's a
go over
professional.
and I'll actually get really excited about it because I like a good kisser. And the most terrible kisser in the world. And I don't understand where my partner
Was he setting you up for it, a bad one? Or
Yeah,
No,
maybe
he was
that
like, and I'll come back going,
I'll show you.
how
that
could
was
you
terrible.
sit there and make out with that guy? He's awful at it. He's like, well, he's not as good as you, but I mean,
Very
I think he's
It's a
great.
personal thing. Then it's absolutely personal.
No,
My
terrible.
my only big is people who have like ass breath and they smell like I don't know what they were doing, but something where whereby
You don't know where their mouth has been.
Right. And you think to yourself, come on, use a wet nap or something,
And
put it together.
Has anyone been kissed by somebody with, I forget the technical term, but I like to call it the detached tongue?
What do you mean?
This lead singer of Kiss, I think, has one.
Gene Simmons.
Yes. He has the ability to take his tongue out or something like that, and it's really long.
Right.
Has anyone been kissed by somebody who can do that?
No, but
No.
I was in a relationship with a guy like that for about 6 months, and it was the best rimming. It lasted.
That's where this was
the
going.
relationship lasted
Thank you,
much
Donovan.
longer than I ever thought it would, because he was a terrible person otherwise.
Okay.
But the rimming
See,
was
sometimes it just
phenomenal.
makes up for everything.
Absolutely.
You didn't give me flowers, but you're a good rimmer.
But you're a good rimmer, so you
Thank
got
you.
another 6 weeks.
You have another
I give this
30
Are you guys
seconds.
talking about the BlackBerry telephone system, the RIM system?
Yeah, there's an
No.
app for that.
No.
Oh, no, you're talking about the other thing. Okay.
Is there an app
We
for
have
that?
our explicit tag.
Yes, we can talk about rimming.
Yeah.
yes.
Like, around
Did anybody
the
have some
cocktail
salad?
glass.
Did anybody have a tossed salad for dinner or anything?
I
the
think,
cocktail
okay,
glass, I mean-
as a scientist, it
As a scientist.
As a scientist.
With extensive research on the matter.
It's just part of the skin. It's just part of the body. Of course, you should also lick that. Why not? We have these taboos. I'm starting to sound like Ruth Westheimer, but I really think that there's all these
in the vagina.
right. There's all these strange taboos, and the first time I did it, I'm like, this is freaking fantastic.
Well,
Are you kidding me?
I love how the straight people call it tossing your salad, and we just call it rimming.
Is that what they call it?
Yeah, they call it tossing your salad, yeah.
That's
I
such a
did not
terrible
know that.
name
I thought
for it.
that was like a hand job.
Yeah. I thought that was something involving...
I don't think that that's rimming, though. I think that that's more cunnilingus. But I know it's translated because I've heard gay guys call that tossing the salad when
Yeah.
Rimming?
with rimming. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
For me, it brings me back to cunnilingus
I
because
think-
that's what I always.
Well, that's in the
Associated
that's your
with-
hoo-ha.
I think of it
Yeah,
as like a
exactly,
salt
but
lick
that's
for
the same
deers.
thing.
Just the salt lick. You
The
just
salt
kind of,
lick.
your eyes glaze over and you just go.
Wait, I don't remember having this on the topic pre-discussion was the rimming, but
You
That's
said
okay.
you
Yeah,
wanted
I don't
it
know how the
juicy.
hell I'm going to segue this into sriracha Lay's chips.
Well, that's actually, you could add a little spice to it and put some sriracha
that
on
would
it.
hurt.
Oh, very nice,
No,
very
I've
smooth.
done like
Wow.
ice cubes
well,
and
let's pass around the
and
chips then.
Mentos.
We were finally able to get a hold of a bag of one of these special Lay's flavors,
Haven't you ever done
and we're going
some
to pass it
spicy-
around, and we're going to taste the sriracha Lay's chips.
yeah,
we
we haven't. We've
I'll
been
take
trying
two.
for like the past 3 or 4 recordings to get bags of the Lay's chips.
What are the other ones?
The other ones, with the
chicken and
chicken
waffles.
Chicken and waffles.
haven't been able to find those, and haven't been able to find what is it, like the garlic bread or whatever.
Oh yeah, garlic bread.
Cheesy garlic bread.
Okay.
Thank you so
Are
much,
you going
Tim.
to keep passing them? Or are you going
No,
to
I'm
Vito's hogging them.
I'm taste testing.
Yeah, if Clay was here, he'd be throwing up in his mouth. He hates sriracha.
Oh, who doesn't like spicy food? Clay doesn't like spicy food.
Yes, he feels it in the morning.
But
You eat them, you taste them, and ooh, here goes the aftertaste. Woo!
that kicks in. And Donovan and I were talking earlier about the sriracha craze and how everybody loves sriracha.
Everybody loves sriracha.
There's groups, and I tell my household, we go through it like it's ketchup. I mean, it's
My-
bottle after bottle after bottle.
It's the new ketchup.
My partner goes through it, and my roommate goes through it. But me, I just leave it alone. I don't really
No?
touch it. Yeah, it's
no.
only on I'll have it on eggs Saturday or Sunday morning. Get up for breakfast, and I like a little kick to eggs. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, I can totally dodge those potato chips. Like I would never even think twice about them.
I like how sriracha has a weird color that you don't quite see in nature. It's interesting.
We had a bottle of
You mean
sriracha.
red?
But it's almost radioactive red or something. It's a red.
And it didn't have any
Orange.
spice to it at all. And then we got our new bottle, and it was really spicy. So we're finding some inconsistencies.
Bootleg.
Something about the
all
pepper.
bootlegs.
It could be a bootleg sracha at Target,
Wow.
but you can actually get sriracha at Target. So if you want to try it,
Really?
You can get it everywhere now.
I put siracha on everything, absolutely everything.
yeah, and
Put
Tabasco.
that shit on everything.
Put
Actually, I've got a
put sriracha on it.
My first love is still Tabasco. I will always love Tabasco. I went to Avery Island. I love it.
Yeah,
I'm
me
kind
too.
of partial to the Cholula.
Oh, I love Cholula too.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, Tabasco was punishment.
Ah.
We had 3 punishments.
That
There was
explains a lot,
Yeah,
Donovan.
I know, exactly. There was the spanking, there was the grounding, and then there was 3 drops of Tabasco on your tongue. Yeah.
Really?
What would you have to say to get 3 drops?
Or do.
Fuck you.
You said that to your parents?
No. No, I mean...
Or just in
we were
general?
pretty, like, in general, like, if you were cursing,
See,
or
my,
you said
my
a
parents
swear,
were like, wash your mouth out with soap. Like, literally, like, get a bar of
My
soap,
grandmother did that
get
to
your
me.
toothbrush,
Yeah.
and brush your teeth with a soapy
Whoa.
toothbrush.
I think my mom was
My
a little
did
bit
that.
more like the mom in A Christmas Story. Like she put the soap in her mouth after she did that to her kid and was like, oh. I think my mom was kind of like, I think Tabasco would be a better way to go because they hate that too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would always take grounding. I'm not sure. Send me to my room.
Oh, you had your choice?
Oh yeah. There was either spanking, there was Tabasco, or there was grounding.
Really?
And grounding in my room was books and a little TV and a little stereo system
Yeah.
with headphones. I was like,
yeah.
oh,
And a bottle of
I was
lube.
so good in my room.
Threaten me with a good time.
Threaten me with internet porn.
I hate you while I'm going to my room to read my books and enjoy the rest of my afternoon.
I've been using Tabasco for years, and my roommates used to steal my pizza, so I would douse pizza with Tabasco, and then I would hear screams. Vito, you put Tabasco, it's my pizza. Don't steal my pizza.
I put it on my car.
What?
So no one takes it.
Okay.
People, keep up.
Wow.
Come on.
Well, yeah,
Wow,
I got that. It was just, that was a little obtuse.
I just want to be clear that was
Sorry.
Ron Braun.
Hi, I'm Ron Braun.
I remember. I used to we had a belt, a hairbrush. That's what we would get spanked with. That was my dad. That was serious business. But when my mom would try to hit us, we would try to hit her back and laugh, and she was terrible at it.
Yeah.
But that's never Tabasco though. That's a little cruel.
It was
Yeah,
a belt or a wooden spoon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
both
it was
very
either,
effective.
a spanking from my mother, who, same sort of thing, like, whatever, or if we were really bad, it's like, wait till your dad gets home. Dad would just fuck you up.
I'd like to mention that I wear a lot of leather now. So I'm kind of making up for a childhood of being
Tabasco.
beaten.
That's
Yeah,
nice.
exactly. Tabasco.
So
and
you-
I'm into Tabasco now, like in really weird ways.
Have you tried it in your
Yeah.
urethra?
Ow! Fuck!
Ooh.
Would you like me to try that on you or during?
I'm game for whatever.
We'll do some
right
sriracha.
here.
I'll try
Some
anything.
sriracha
I'll try
once.
anything once.
Oh my god.
Oh, man.
Let's get into Backscratches.
Backscratches to all you guys for having me in to talk about the AIDS life cycle. It's something I'm pretty passionate about, and I've been working pretty hard with a bunch of incredible men and women who I'd also like to give major backscratches to. There's too many to name, but really check us out on the interwebs. We are the New Bear Republic. Some of us could definitely use your help. There's a few guys that
Yep.
haven't quite hit their $3,000 minimum in order to ride. There's about 10 of us, I think, out of 50 that haven't met it. And so major back scratches to them. Major back scratches to my friends Brian and Uli, who just moved back here from Germany. Missed
Yeah.
them terribly, and I'm glad to have them back in town.
Ja, willkommen.
Welcome in. Big back scratches to my partner Fred, who is turning 45 this week.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Fred.
We just celebrated 10 years together, and he has been a major support in this whole AIDS life cycle ride, even though he's not riding or roadieing.
He's actually done a few training rides with you, yeah?
He's done a few training rides. Yeah, he's had some health issues with his knee, so he hasn't been able to do as many as he would like. But he's been an incredible emotional and physical and financial support. He's made a lot of donations and spent a lot of time helping. So
Very cool.
Just want to give a back scratch to you guys. It's been an awesome night. I really appreciate it.
All right.
Mhm.
Well, this is Vito. I'd like to give back scratch to Donovan. Great time. Thank you for coming. Awesome. And our special guest, host, Ron Braun. And we miss you, Clay. Can't wait for you to come back.
Miss you, Clay.
And a back scratch to Eric, which is Clay and Bill's upstairs roommates, or housemates, for getting the key so I could get the equipment so that we could record tonight. Big back scratch to Tarek, all you guys, the elements. Peter and Tim, Donovan.
Peter Langley.
Yeah. Tarek and I got to go over to their place and spend some time with them, and I like to back scratch them. It was really wonderful, and he's the one that gave me the idea to have you on the show. And
he's at Coachella this week. Bonus back scratches to all my friends that I'm totally missing at Coachella this week.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead, Tim.
We'll get the ALC stuff out of the way first. So everybody that's donated to my ride this far contributed to my fundraising. It's been really amazing, and I'm humbled. Anytime anybody donates, it's, it really means a lot to me.
Me too.
And for Donovan's donations too. And really anybody that's ever given to the ride, I get excited anytime anybody makes a donation. I don't necessarily feel like, I'm only going to thank somebody when they donate to my ride. Anybody, that's giving to it is, kudos. Thank you. Furthermore to James, my partner, Big Backscratches there. All the elements, Ron, again, for filling in. Thank you for being here. Donovan for being our guest.
He's Ron Braun.
Yes.
Braun.
Everybody from the Blaze that I've been training with down in the South Bay. Clay, miss you, wish you were here. 2 more just on health-related stuff. My father actually had a minor heart attack on Friday, so I just spoke to him today. It was most recent, so he's doing really well. Just big back scratches out to you, and if you hear any of this, I'm going to be really embarrassed by all this previous conversation about the kissing and everything. So I hope you don't
skip
hear
to
that.
the end, Dad.
Yeah. And to my good friend Jeff, who has really had a tough go of it. He's had some complications with diabetes and amputation and stuff like that, and he's just, over the past few years, has been in and out of the hospital so many times and has probably been in the hospital more than he's been home. And just really love you dearly, wish you all the best, and looking forward to a time when you're home.
Oh, yeah, and I forgot to back scratch Kenny this time. It's his birthday coming up.
Happy birthday, Kenny.
Happy birthday,
Happy
Kenny.
Birthday, Kenny.
Just speaking of illness, back scratch to Paul Bua, who just got out of the hospital
Oh, yeah.
today, I think, after bad infection, and he's doing better.
Get better.
And, I want to wish him speedy recovery. And just thank you to all of you for having me on again and listening to me. And to Donovan, obviously, for just being awesome and just not only a great DJ and a great voice to the community and outspoken and articulate and proud. And thank you. Thank all y'all.
All right.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thanks, Ron.
thanks, Ron.
All right, so that's the end of part 2, episode 22.
22.
Wow,
22.
damn, 22. So check us out online, bearelement.com, Facebook, just the Bear Element, and blah, 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 blah.
That's not our theme song.
Damn it! I knew I was doing something wrong.
That's my theme song.
All right, everybody, see you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday. Visit us at bearelement.com.